Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Satya, and today I'm talking about my status report of how to write the narrative section of a annual report. And as you know, these handouts in front of you, the first page will tell you about the status. But let's start with what made me take up this topic. Why not anything else? Was one major reason was maybe I work in an investment bank, and I was thinking about what can be a better option than write about annual reports, because as all our managers, everyone use annual reports. So that made me push to write something about annual reports. And then why only narratives? Why not something else in annual reports was the question. And as professor said, and everyone else suggested, be short, be crisp, write one part of the annual report. And then I found that narrative is the main heart of annual report. So nothing else was more striking than narrative for the annual report. So that's why annual report, and that is why narrative. And when it comes to how did I start and what were the high points and low points, the high points were basically, when I started doing research, the most high point was as I could get a lot of information and over the internet in the libraries. So that was like more motivating, and it certainly made the high point. The low point was, write something which will make 6,000 words was mostly the low point, which I was still struggling, because when I was reading everything else, the material, all they said was be short, be crisp, go to the point, don't confuse them, and show some kind of statistics, and don't use long sentences, don't use legal words, so that someone is reading who's reading the annual report. They always said annual report should be for a layman and for a stockholder. It should not be for a finance guy. So the whole gist came up to be only 1,000 words. So making it 6,000 words is the next challenge, which of course is we are working towards. Is like, now coming to the first part of this handout, I try to be as simple and as straightforward. My main point, of course, is how to write the narrative section of an annual report. And then I have 4 supportive points. It says, first one says parts of narrative. So I wanted to just describe parts of narrative. And the second support point was how much is enough, how much to write, how much is more, how much is less, and all that stuff. About quality, next one was what is quality. In quality, I want to talk about tone. I want to talk about something like, whatever our style book told, well, something related to the quality of language, tone, style, and all that stuff, length, clarity, and all that stuff. Conclusion, of course, would include some samples and points to remember, some takeaways and all that stuff, maybe summarizing and all that stuff. So this is about the support points. And coming to the detailed points, the first support point has detailed points like looking back, overview, performance, year in review, looking forward, photo illustrations. These are all the parts of narrative. And the second the detail points for the second support point was control in length, how to control your your paragraphs and what length is enough, and reasoning for those and the trends, like how in the past the industry trends, how GE is writing annual reports, how Walmart writes annual reports, what are those trends. And the detail points in quality are like style, tone, clarity, and innovation. And of course, conclusion, you have samples and points to remember. I have put the status as how much is completed in the brown part. So basically, first section should have already been completed if I am standing here, otherwise I missed the deadline. So the status of that first thing is done 100%. And I have also put a small chart, the green stats for complete and red stands for not complete. Put red for not complete so that it will stand stand red and you will know, oh, it's not yet complete. And I have also made some small time management stuff as to when it will be completed, when it would plan to complete. So, this being a status report, I was thinking, you know, how much is complete and when it will be completed with all this time management and all that stuff. So, these are the statuses, the first page. And now, if you turn over, these are the, I have many images, but just to save trees, I just put 2 images, and these images I intend to use it in the first section, and under those sub details, like I wanted to, I have already used them in performance and looking forward, and this basically tell about the performance, and the other one tells about looking forward, the what is in pipeline for that particular company looking forward. So, that is about the images and how they are used, and this is about the status. So, I just thought another 2 minutes for any question and answers.
Can you explain the visual a little bit more? There's a lot of parts to it.
Yeah, basically this particular, the one with the blues and the squares is that particular visual is put under looking forward detail point of the narrative, wherein it is talking about in an annual report, it is talking about what are the future plans, what are the future plans. So, these are the 4 departments, and their future plans for the next year is been put there, and it is, I think, from GE, General Electric. So, basically I have also just written there as to where I am be using it, which support point and which detail point. Yeah, it's about it. Looking forward.
Where is this one going?
This is going under the performance. It's the graph goes under performance. Yes, and it is just comparing, you know, 3 performance values, one being the company, another 2 being the standard in the 6.
No, I was going to say questions. Go ahead.
Of your 2 main sections left, how much is enough? What is quality? What's the most difficult one for you to complete right now?
The quality one, if you see, is about 25% left. The difficult part of quality is I am not getting good and bad examples. I wanted to know, I wanted, like, getting a bad example for a quality or a good example for a quality is very difficult, because it is me who is judging it. I want someone else to judge and say this is a good example and this is a bad example. So, research, I would say, is the research is one thing, and adding on content. I do not want the content to be very abstract, because see, imagine reading our style book in, say, one single day. It would not interest us. So, getting more and more content for that section is the most challenging part. You would get one example which is bad and one example which is good. It will comprise 100 words each. So, content is the more content research for your question is the most time consuming part.
About the conclusion, in the video point you show the sample 100% done and point to remember 5% done. For overall progress you saying the 25%.
No, that graph is just, see, only even if 20, it's not like statistical 20%. That's why I did not put 23%, because you will ask, I understand 20, but how did you get that 3%? So, it is a general notion as how much is complete or how much is not complete is general as to my gut feeling, and there is no statistical. I just wanted to put some graph there to prove, to show that how much is still left. It's a gut feeling. It might be really 30% probably.
So basically you're showing for that support point this
No, overall for that whole section of conclusion, 75% of the work is still remaining. Whole part of the conclusion, 75% of the work is still remaining, only 25% is done. So, out of 75%, you know, I have those things which are you know, see 100% of samples would maybe count to 50% of the work to be done.
That's what my point is.
Yeah.
You have 2 points. One point is 100%, it could be 50%, but
50% of the whole document itself. So
Any other questions? Thank you, Satya.
thanks. Thank you.